you very much for inviting me today. What you here have been doing over the last few weeks, and all the other students on the demonstrations, have given me an awful lot of hope. And so it was really exciting to be able to be invited to come and talk, and I too hope that this is the start of a dialogue. So when thinking about what is the use of higher education, I accept Mark's qualifications on that question, but I think it's a useful place to start. For me, the answer doesn't lie within the university. But as our chair said, the answer lies in fact, my own personal route into academia as an academic. I come from the generation of students who saw Thatcher elected in my first year at university. A time when student activism was hard to see. And as Deputy President of the University Student Union, it was hard to motivate. I fell out of the higher education into the world of work, having come from this background of student activism, into, in fact, the world of social housing. The world of providing housing for those desperately in housing need. Working for a local authority housing department at a time, under Thatcher, like now, of drastic cuts in budgets for providing new housing. The privatisation of housing through the right to buy, increasing repossession, spiralling homelessness. We, as practitioners in the local authority, were desperate to find alternatives to the squalor of thousands of families living in bed and breakfast. But our budgets were being cut, our options were being closed down. Same old story. Our solutions, and we were very creative in finding solutions, but for our solutions we turned to the private sector. We set up private sector leasing schemes, schemes that leased houses to a private landlord, and through the public purse, through housing benefit, we paid private landlords to house homeless families in houses that were much better than being in bed and breakfast. However, our solutions, I can see now, were in fact the precursor to the privatisation and the private funding of social housing. To the transfer of publicly owned council housing to housing associations, who are in fact private organisations. And many of them now spend a lot of time asserting their privateness. The housing association sector became extremely successful. It took out loans, billions of pounds. Housing associations, the new social landlords, became intimately tied up with and reliant on private funders, the banks, the building societies and others that have led us into the financial crisis that we now inhabit. The bank that now is dictating terms to this university that requires that we have to make a profit. No, sorry, we don't call it profit, surplus. We have to make a surplus each year. So the story that I've told of social housing, for me, is a mirror of what's happening to universities now. Selling off council housing to housing associations, and they might have been not-for-profit, but as I said, they assert their privateness. They were not public organisations for funding purposes. Loans to housing associations didn't count as public funding, just as fees from students won't count as public funding. The technicalities of accountancy dictated social housing, the technicalities of accountancy, the terms of the economists are dictating what's happening in universities now. So what's this got to do with higher education? Well, for me, the importance comes from the next step that I was able to take. The possibility of entering into a university and of being able to do research that can take a step back from what happens. Research that, as far as we can possibly hope for, is not too much tied to government programmes or the private funding aspirations of banks, building societies. Research that can help us understand where we are now, how we got to where we are. Or, in the language of Michel Foucault, who has been the social theorist that has most inspired me since I stopped being a practitioner and became an academic. The need to construct histories of the present that can help us understand the conditions of possibility that we occupy at the present. Because for me, it's essential that we understand and be able to relate where we are now to what happened in the past. Sadly, many politicians don't seem to see that.